Welcome to our new series, the 200 Movie Challenge. Our goal this year is to watch 200 movies that we haven't seen yet. If you want to listen to the full podcast where this clip is from, the link will be in the description. Now enjoy today's movie.
So let's talk about your second movie. This is the movie I've been waiting to
Oh,
hear about. Just because from
oh,
text and just even when you told me you sent me a
oh.
text. Hold on a sec. Give me a second, and I want to get this. I don't know. I think I joked about this in our Saturday podcast. Basically along the
Man.
lines that, hey, don't watch this. I'm reserved. Kind of. I know it was a joke. I think you're just letting me know because again, we try to. Very rarely do we watch the same movies because we need to build that 200. And as you said before, we have different tastes. You never know what our mindsets are in that. But
Of
Soto, yeah,
course.
you reserved this movie. You saw this movie. I need to hear about this movie. So I hand you the floor. Tell me all about this. Tell me a story, Soto.
Oh man. So, once upon a time, I decided to take a look to see what was like on Tubi randomly, as we tend to. And I saw a Nicolas Cage film. It's called Prisoners of the Ghostland. Hopefully I got the title right because I never do.
100%.
Um, so I said, okay, what is this about? And I read the title, and the first half of the synopsis was whatever. But what really grabbed me was the second half of the synopsis, which really said that he had to do this task before the leather suit he was wearing was going to explode. Uh, when I read those combination of words in a sentence describing what a movie was about, I just had to know what this could possibly be about. I had to know. I knew. I want to be very clear. I knew going into it that this was going to be bad. And I knew that the synopsis did not denote that this was going to be a good movie. I don't remember the last time that I've seen a good Nicolas Cage movie. We'll discuss that at a later date. But I figured, fuck it. It's free. Let me give it a chance. I haven't seen a Nicolas Cage movie in a long time. So let me see. How bad could it possibly be? Was my mentality. And as soon as I turned it on, within 5 minutes, I knew that I was in trouble from the beginning. And um, from what I can tell you about the synopsis, other than the fact that he has a leather suit that's going to explode, he's some sort of criminal in some sort of weird Japanese fantasy town. I can't even tell you. And he gets a second chance. He has to go and save this weird pimp's daughter who is in this complex with these strange people. Almost, I don't even know. And he's told, if you try to manhandle her, there's explosives on your arms of the leather suit and they'll explode. And if you try to fuck her in any way, they've put explosives on each one of his testicles, okay, on this leather suit. And he goes off into this ghost land to try to rescue the daughter of this pimp. So, he's given this ultimatum. Once if you save her in 3 days, or the suit will explode. But if she speaks her name into the speaker of the leather suit, you'll get an extra 2 days and everything will be good. This movie from the very beginning was absolutely terrible. Now and painful to watch. I don't know why. I do know now after researching it why Nicolas Cage did it. The director actually is a pretty famous director in Japan. He's also a poet who directed other movies. I actually saw one of his other movies before. It's called Suicide Club. I've actually seen that. And I didn't know that this was the same director. So I can understand why Nicolas Cage chose to do it. It was supposed to happen in 2018. The director ended up having a heart attack. He was originally supposed to shoot this in Mexico. He had to shoot it in Japan because he couldn't leave, obviously due to his condition. I can't believe this actually played at the Cannes Film Festival, but this is the one of the biggest pieces of dog shit I have seen in the longest time.
Wow.
The storyline made no sense. I mean, it kind of made sense. Nicolas Cage just mailing it the fuck in. I sent you the clip about him talking about rallying the troops and being like, I believe in us, even though I only have one testicle. So I hope you saw that clip.
I did.
This movie was really bad. Really bad. Really, really bad. For a lot of the movie, I felt like it was like a young filmmaker's kind of just, I've been given all the money and I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want in a movie. And there were so many elements of this movie that got mishmashed together and just didn't work. All of the budget of this movie to me seems like it went to Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage did absolutely nothing with this. It's borderline comedic. It's fucking terrible. I watched it. I sat through it. It's an hour and 45 minutes. This was one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. And I really can't say that there was any redeeming value. There was a couple times where I laughed because Nicolas Cage was just so over the top Nicolas Cage. So that was kind of interesting, but the story made no sense. The exposition was delivered in a nonsensical way. I really can't even tell you what the fuck the movie was about. I'm struggling to find out what the fucking movie was about. And I texted you this, and I'm telling you right now, I enjoyed the fucking commercials that came up to interrupt this movie more than I enjoyed the movie itself. I would love to do a rating on the commercials that I saw versus this movie, because every time a commercial came on, I said to myself, thank God I don't have to watch this movie right now. It was like a moment of respite. Every single time it said ad break coming up, and you know how much I hate commercials. Every time an ad break came up, I said, thank God. And then every time I was like, okay, let me see if like I could just make a semblance of this movie. Dude, this movie is bad. Really bad. I would never recommend this movie to anybody. I'm telling you, it's one of the worst movies that I've seen in a long time. As far as a movie that's shot like a movie, this is the worst movie that I have seen this year.
The funny thing is, I think about our times at Blockbuster, and this would like rent the fuck out for some reason, and I don't know why. Because I can think of other movies, but
I mean, it does. I mean, it has some like mishmash of elements of other stuff, but dude, this movie is a piece of shit. I would never watch this movie again. It's made me question, which we'll talk about in a future podcast. Really going to have to analyze what happened here with Nicolas Cage. I get it. We all work jobs that we don't want to work, right? You work a job. I mean, if you had a choice, you wouldn't work your job, right?
Oh, no, if we get paid for this would be like the best job. It was, yes.
Right.
But yes, we have to make ends meet.
By choice, you wouldn't work your fucking job and have to go to it and do the grind and all that stuff. And I can see Nicolas Cage's point of view. This is just his job. And I unfortunately had to watch him at his job, and it is bad. Now, he's done 145 films or something like that. Shit. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, I'm going to look up his filmography for this later talk. We'll
dissect that later. But because I think like a really good conversation for later is like, I know we talked about Jim Carrey and Will Ferrell, but I would like to discuss Nicolas Cage versus Bruce Willis. Now we'll put a pin on that, but we'll talk about that.
All right, we'll come back to this, but we'll
come back.
Prisoners of the Ghostland.
But Prisoners of the Ghostland, dude, was a terrible film. I rate this a 1 out of 10. And I'm gonna ask you, it is going to be rated above Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies and Slaw. And the only reason for that is because Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies and Slaw are not movies to me. Those are just trash from beginning to end. They don't even have the professionalism of a regular movie. This is like the worst. I tried to do a movie. It was directed by a director and it had real actors in it. And it was the worst pile of shit that I have seen in a long time. It is by far the worst Nicolas Cage movie that I have ever seen. This movie sucks ass from the beginning to the end. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's way too fucking long. If it was maybe 30 minutes, I would rate it higher. But the fact that this is an hour and 45 minutes, this movie is pure fucking torture. And if it was my choice and somebody was like, you can either lose a testicle or watch this movie again, I would have to think about it.
You don't need to. So to clarify, this is going at number 55 under Crazy Samurai.
Yes.
Okay, just double checking. My God, I mean, I want to dissect the Nick Cage, especially what he's done. God knows.
He worked at Blockbuster. Just think about that. Like since I worked at Blockbuster,
like when Wicker Man kind of happened, it was that I don't know. It was just like yeah,
he had three movies where he was like a star. Face Off,
yep,
Con Air, like The Rock. That era of Nicolas Cage, and then I just seen a TikTok of him in Moonstruck, which I love him in Moonstruck.
Oh,
He's
God,
great in Moonstruck. He's fantastic. But then it's like you started seeing like Snake Eyes, and then like other things kind of go. And again, we'll dissect this all. We'll spend a whole time this weekend talking about it. But it's just wild to me because we talk about how certain actors can carry a movie, even if it's bad. We've referenced Jim Carrey in this situation, but people tend to watch movies for the people that are in it. You worked at Blockbuster for as long as I did. Most people are like, who's in this? They don't give a fuck about who the director is. He did not carry this movie. If anything, it was comedic without meaning to be comedic, but man, this was really bad. This is one of the worst movies I've seen, and definitely one of the worst movies I've seen this year.
We went from like my second best to your third worst. That's fine.
That's how it goes.
That's a move. That is a move. Oh my God. I kind of want to dissect, and I do remember the 90s Nick Cage because that was peak Nick Cage to me. I mean, he did have some good stuff in the 80s, and I know we'll talk about it. But yeah, I was trying to remember like when he started going downhill, especially with like the straight to DVD movies that some of them do, and
like Gone in 60 Seconds. Like there's some bad what goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's bad, but I wouldn't say that's great. Like again,
National Treasure was like the last thing that he kind of.
Yeah, I know we'll talk off air, and if we do this Saturday, we'll kind of figure that out. I have a feeling we have to now, but like I said, I haven't had a chance to dissect it because I remember like the Wicker Man meme. Excuse me, and to me, it's like, what has he done since that? Which could be good, but that's for a different podcast. So
Sure is.